demystify your job a little bit, if you don't mind.
If I
What
can.
does your average day or your average week look like? Yeah.
Oh God, I don't even think I have an average day or week. I mean, I have sort of an average schedule. I mean, you know how it is, like with kids in the picture, you never know what day is going to totally go out the window. Like last week, where all of a sudden I was supposed to be here talking to you, and daycare calls and says your kid's throwing up and you have to go home. So for me right now, because I've got young kids, I work 3 full days a week. The older one's in school full time. The baby, will get there, but right now he's only in daycare 3 days a week. So I work 3 full days a week. I really, I really just, every week starts a little different. Like I sort of make a to-do list, Sunday night or Monday, because I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. My agency in New York, we have a weekly Skype call, usually on Tuesdays at lunchtime, but sometimes it moves. So we talk early in the week, and then everybody sends everybody a roundup email of what we worked on all week. So I kind of make a list at the beginning of the week of everything I hope I'm going to get done, which is like edit this client, follow up on these projects, read query letters, read submissions. It kind of lets me run through like where my clients all are and like what needs to happen on each of them. But every week can be a little different in terms of like how much editing am I doing this week versus how much submission reading am I doing this week versus am I submitting any projects this week? And it just kind of goes from there. So it can vary wildly. Like sometimes I have no clients that sent me revisions that I need to work on. Sometimes I've got 5 that I have to get through, in which case there's a lot of to-do lists and a lot of me updating people and a lot of me being like, okay, client B, you're 3 down in the queue. Like I'll get to you in 10 days, just making sure everyone's up to speed on where everything is. That's mostly it. Like, because, I'm not in New York and I don't, I'm not in charge of any functions at the agency, like foreign rights or contracts or whatever. It's mostly I set my own schedule and time, and it's an ebb and flow of what's coming in and what needs to go out. So like this week, I'm editing a client manuscript that I just signed a week and a half ago. I want to submit that quickly before summer hits, because summer gets too quiet with everyone's vacations and publishing. So I'm hoping I'll get that done. I'm going to pitch a project tomorrow that's ready to go. I have a lot of submissions I have to read because I'm a little behind. But that's the regular week. I mean,
it sounds ideal because you're theoretically setting your own hours, but I know the way that could sometimes work.
Yeah.
All the stuff you have to do is setting your hours, and this was supposed to be my time off, but here I am.
Right. And like, of course, like this morning I had to be at a Mother's Day thing at school for my 5-year-old because they were having a program. So like I lost an hour. Then, you and I had this scheduled. So it's like, I have phone calls set up around these various times. I know I have to check in with X, Y, and Z clients. Like it just kind of fills itself in. I try and block out time for myself a couple afternoons a week to like go read submissions, but it doesn't always work out. And it's also like the biggest thing for me is how I read. Like when I'm reading to edit, like I need to be at the computer because I have Word open so I can mark things up. If I'm just reading to like read a client manuscript for first impressions or read submissions, I take my Kindle somewhere where I don't look at my email. Like I have to just focus that way. So, productivity it's a fluid thing,
Unfortunately,
in time and space. And truthfully, sometimes like even though I work best with like dedicated work days, like if I were more part-time, I think I'd go crazy. But like bottom line is a lot of times after bedtime for the kids at night, I'm sitting on my computer writing pitch letters or researching editors to send things to, or just, I have Star Trek on in the background and I'm doing like prep for what I'm going to do during the day, during the week.
So when you get ready to submit a project, what's your process for preparing? Yeah, that's my question.
It's a long process. Like I actually start when I sign somebody. Usually if I'm going to sign something, I know I have to know, like I have a few like poker face tells for myself, I guess. Like I know if I can think of a couple editors like as I'm reading it that would love this, then it's probably like, then that's a really good sign for me to sign something. So usually I start thinking about a submission list like really early, like even before I sign a project, although I don't write it down because I don't want to jinx myself. I don't start making lists until after I've signed somebody officially because I don't want to get my heart broken in case they don't pick me. But yeah, I think one of your questions on the sheet you asked me was like, what does your spreadsheet look like? I'm a total spreadsheet nerd, like I love them. So I have a very, it looks complicated, but it's not, template for how I structure my submissions lists that like has all the publishers and then all their imprints. It's like alphabetized, and then I can sort them into like, here are my round 1 editors, here are my round 2 editors.
And about how many editors typically are in each round?
It's really, really project specific. Okay. On average, 15 editors on a first round of submission. I try and have a second round of just as many, like ready to go, because you never know what's going to happen. Like sometimes the market's weird. Sometimes there was an editorial revision that I just didn't see clearly enough until we sent it out on submission. So I want to give myself an opportunity to get that book where it needs to go. And I like to have 2 solid rounds of editors that I can send it to. Mostly like I don't like exhausting all my options in one go. It's not the smartest thing. Some houses don't like it when you send to more than one imprint at a time. They don't like competing internally. Some houses don't care. Like that's all stuff I have to know as I make the list, but it becomes very strategic. Like it's very strategy oriented, like looking, making sure it's balanced between these big 5 publishers and these, bigger independent publishers, and, having a backup for myself of equally great editors. Like I don't consider the B list to be bad. The B list is just like another A list because you like can't send it to everybody at the same time. So I work on that for a long time. I'm constantly tweaking it up until the minute I'm even sometimes change the day I'm pitching. Like sometimes you just like you see something or your mood changes and that editor, or they went on vacation and you have to wait. So you're going to try somebody else. Like you never know. And I write a pitch letter that is very much based off of the query letter that I get from the client, although I'd usually change it a bit. But that's why query letters are important to do and do well, because I will use it later. I run all that both the letter, my submission list, I send it to the client so that they can look it over, ask me questions. I send it to my team here in case they have extra thoughts about editors that I haven't considered or forgot, or they went to lunch with somebody last week and found out that so-and-so is looking for X, And I'm an email pitcher. Some people swear by the phone. Most people I know really hate the phone. So, and I'm fine with that. I think email's good. Like I think editors are shy creatures also. Like anyone who works in books is probably not the most extroverted person in the whole wide world. So most people like are terrified by random phone calls. So I just send emails. And then it's out there. And then you wait for a while. Like sometimes things go fast, sometimes things take forever. But that's my basic process. And then clients get to pick, like, do you want me to share the responses with you as they come in? Do you only want me to tell you, do you only want good news? Like, do you want me to just hold the bad news until there's good news? Some people really want to see everything as it comes. That's cool. Client's choice on that one.
Yeah, I'd be one of those people. I don't trust good news. Give me everything.
Yeah. So some people want the rejection letters right away. Some people just want to know if, they'll read the letters later, but they want to know if passes are coming in. Who still has it. And I'm pretty open door. Like, I don't mind them having that information. They should know where their book is.
What kind of feedback are you looking for from that first round in case there is a second round? Yeah.
Well, it's, as the notes start to come in, you get a sense of, is it a market problem? Because people will say like, yeah, we're just having trouble with, let's say, sci-fi right now. Like I just pick something, which we do hear that a lot. And then, like it's not a judgment on the book. It's that like they're having trouble making those numbers work. So they're not buying as much in that field. Or sometimes you start to get consistent notes like, well, the pacing is kind of slow. you know, it wasn't making me turn pages. If I hear that more than once, I'm like, oh, we need to fix that. So usually in that case, like if I get a consistent editorial note, then that's something the author and I talk about, and we'll probably do a revision on it before I send on a second round. But sometimes it's just like, sometimes the notes are like, this was great, but like I just didn't click with the voice. In which case you just keep sending it, because then you just have to wait for the editor who does. So there's like nothing to edit. You know, like you're just hoping, you know, finding the right person who's the right match.
Just write them a note. Have better taste. Thanks. Have a nice day.
Right. Thanks for nothing.